George, I have to be different. My grandpa is who he is. I'm in Nashville where it's a machine now, Music Row is a machine. They go with what's working. They want someone who's going to do exactly what's someone else has done. It's not about the artist or the person. It's more about the song and if it's going to go well. And they're just going to keep putting pop country on the country radio if that's what people want to hear. And it seems to be that's what people want to hear.
Hello, everyone. Hola, mis amigos. You're listening to Oh My God, Hi, Hijo de Dios. Hola. With me, George Lopez. Porque, ¿sabes qué? Let's do the show. Porque I got a lot of things to do. I gotta go to that dry cleaner ahí. My kid fell. Se pegó la cabeza. I gotta go get some Neosporin Paul.
You know what George is?
Oh, I'm sure he's around here somewhere.
What's his name?
George Lopez.
George Lopez.
Oh my God!
OMG.
OMG! Hi!
Oh my God! Hi!
Well, my favorite beer to drink these days is All Day IPA.
Oh.
Watch out! That's the IPA, George. If you want the lager, that's the other one.
I know, but
They're great because it's just a little bit of alcohol in it, so you can drink all day long. And it even has a car on it, so you could even drink and drive with this stuff.
What do you mean it has a car on it? Like,
it has a car with canoe on the top. You could go canoeing.
all right. There's some. I don't know. Drinking and driving. I mean, clearly, it's not. You can't take the position that it's okay, but it was much different before. When did it change? Gil, you were a law enforcement. When did you see DUIs? And they used to be called 502s. What are they called in Nashville? DWIs.
Yeah, DUI.
Driving under the influence.
Right.
502 was section, the vehicle code section 502 was drunk driving. They didn't, that stuff wasn't really prevalent in the 70s. They were after other stuff. DUIs became prevalent out here when Mothers Against Drunk Drivers started pushing the issue.
Yeah, you don't want to.
Why are dads against drunk drivers?
I heard.
How come? Because dads don't go. They have to care though.
Not
because the mom told them, "You sit there, we'll take care of it."
I heard a damn drunks against mad mothers.
Goes both ways.
Let's see. There's so many places to start. When you think of yourself musically, how far can you go back to when you felt like it in your whole being? Some kids, go to church and sing, and some kids are like, I'm not going to sing. Singing is maybe the most vulnerable for any performer at any time in their career. I don't care if it's a wedding. I don't care if you're just like singing a little bit. There's always a bit of risk with a singer because of the tone and the notes, and it's such a concise art that when somebody hits a bad note, you could just look at each other and be like, "Oh shit, did you? Ooh," And some kids are shy when they're growing up, and they're just like, "No, I don't want to do that." And then I feel because of your lineage that I believe that genetically you can be pass along a talent from generations and through generations. I've seen it firsthand. I've witnessed a family that was musical, and I admire it because. It's almost like when you buy a car, it's standard equipment. Like you have it. Whether you use it or not is up to the person. When did you find yourself feeling that musical kind of, where it got you in the gut, where it spoke to you?
I was young. I've always written little melodies in my head. I feel like is the internet okay?
Yeah, you're coming through
It's
here.
going out. Okay, good. When I was a kid, I was always writing melodies in my head. I feel like as a songwriter, that's the best that I can bring to the table is songwriting with melodies, a catchy melody and lyrics. And I remember being in my room. I was probably 8 years old, and I had this dry erase marker board, and I was pretending to teach these stuffed animals that I had. I was pretending to be a teacher. And I remember going, I think I could be a teacher one day. And then immediately was like, no, I'm going to be a singer. And I'm going to play guitar like my grandpa and sing on stage. So I just knew that's what I wanted to do. I didn't take steps to do that until I actually had children. And I was stuck at home with 3 little kids and just started picking up the guitar and figuring out these melodies that I had been writing my whole life. But I had always been involved in voice lessons, show choir, taking guitar lessons all throughout, school and high school, piano lessons. I was always drawn to music, for sure.
Do you know who her grandfather is?
Sure do. Did some research. Well, first of all, with the last name of Nelson, and then everything says granddaughter of Willie Nelson. Your songwriting, that song "Free," when you talked about your kids and what you wrote the song "Free" about, and I was listening to it. Very, very catchy, very nice.
Thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah.
How did Free? Let's talk about. We'll get to the Willie. How did Free come to you?
So I was at home with 3 little kids, 5 cats, 3 dogs, 2 hamsters, a few birds, and I had just gotten divorced and stuck at home. But because even though I was stuck at home with all these responsibilities, I felt totally free of that situation. And that's how the song came about. And then after the last couple of years we've had with the pandemic and everyone being stuck at home, I really thought everyone could maybe relate to it as we're starting to get back out and be a little more normal again. So that's why I released it. I was planning on not releasing it and it just being a song that I would play at acoustic shows or something. Wow. But then really felt like everyone could relate to it. And I want to put songs out that I feel like people can relate to. I don't like just write a song about something, but I try to pick things that are that happen in life and write a song about that situation, because I feel like if I've seen it happen, then somebody else has probably seen something like that too, and they can relate to it. So, yeah.
I think there's a lot of weight to life, and if you have an outlet like being able to, write a song or, in my instance, to be able to, I used to write jokes on an old Water and Power envelope or envelopes that my grandmother had, and old telephone bills and the back of envelopes and things like that, where it just seemed to me better than writing. I like journals and I like notebooks. I always have. I always like pens, but I do like writing on the back of an envelope or a manila folder or something that's a little bit more down and rustic. I always had pens in my pocket and always had things in my head, and things would just pop into my head, and I thought I couldn't remember anybody in my family being remotely amusing or funny or encouraging or happy. And I thought, this is a really very disconnected family, and I think that the humor of it, much like writing music, will come from a sense of sadness, a sense of I got to get the fuck out of here, a sense of just a situation that was so heavy that if you didn't pursue a career or an opportunity that was better than what all my friends were kind of looking to do in the neighborhood, that it was not going to be a kind of a life well lived, I felt.
Yeah.
Right? I think so.
I understand what you're saying.
what are some of the jokes that I had? Let's see. I can't remember. But I and there wasn't really a lot of Latino comedians, and country. I worked out in the early 80s. I worked with a guy named Steve Castro, and this guy was selling cocaine in the second shift, and he was an alcoholic, and he had a bottle of Scope. And I thought, motherfucker, people don't swallow Scope; they spit it out. But what he had done is put vodka in the Scope and added green food coloring. So when it looked like he was using mouthwash, he'd swish it around and then he'd swallow it. And I thought, who swallows Scope? But the fact that I was listening to these country songs, John Anderson, and all kinds of different stuff, and at first I was like, Steve, we kind of maybe have a day that's not country in the office, but I found myself listening to Merle Haggard and Waylon Jennings, and there was some, one of the greatest guitar players ever of all time. There's a couple of them. One is Glenn Campbell and one is Roy Clark. And all of those guys that, like, I love rock, but country is more compelling. Their lives are, I talked to Merle Haggard and he said to me, I killed a man and I was in a blacked out state. And the next morning when they told me I'd killed a man, I didn't remember killing him. And I went to prison and I did my time, and my family was estranged from me and I was estranged from them. And I saw a documentary of Merle Haggard and I thought, I got to meet this guy. And I met him, and he couldn't have been a better person or a nicer man, understanding all his flaws. And I thought, that's what country is. Like, country's, you're born with your country in you, and I think rock you find on the road. But I think country's, you agree with that? That it's in your heart, it's in your family, it's in your loss, and it's in your gain.
It's a way of life. It really is.
But it's not a good life. I mean, it's a good life, but there is from pain you have to, right? I think, you know what I'm trying to say, right?
Yeah, I think, you know how people say that a lot of comedians have to have traumatic pasts in order to have this funny sense of humor? It's kind of the same with country, right? You kind of have to have some traumatic experiences or some drama, at least, in order to create these country songs, because a country song usually stems from sadness, right? Or I mean, if we're talking about real country songs like my grandpa's songs and Merle Haggard and Johnny Cash, all of those stemmed from some sort of sadness.
Yes. And being young, you're where do you find your music going, do you think?
So I have a really sad song I wrote called Daddy's Grave about my dad's passing. And it's like song therapy, where you get these things out that need to be said that you can't say to anyone and also you'd feel maybe kind of stupid if it wasn't in a song, Yes. So did that. And when we would play it out and about, everybody in the audience would get really sad, and it would take 3 or 4 songs for me to see the energy get back up to dancing and moving with big smiles on their faces.
Right.
That I decided I didn't want to do that song live anymore. You know, I just thought that sad songs were for car listening or shower listening. No. I made the decision a long time ago that I want to make people happy. I want them to be on this high for a couple of weeks after, not super sad. But yeah, my plan is to let the songs come to me. If I haven't written a song in a while or one's not coming to me, then I'll just go take a drive through the back roads. And usually that I can count on that almost every time something will come into my head or it'll help me out of the writer's block.
And you seem to have like
I just wait for them to come.
Right. And you seem to have like a free spirit, like your videos and everything you do, you're a really kind of a free spirit.
Yeah. Thank you.
Yeah.
I'm trying to be. Yes.
Yeah. What are some of the things that you've seen live? Lucille Ball used to live in this neighborhood, and like Jack Benny would go over, and all the Red Skelton, all comedians and actors. Who have you seen? I used to always say, did you see that person with your own eyes? Like, I would never imagine growing up that I would be able to see some of the people that I've seen with my own eyes. And whenever somebody sees somebody really very, very, a historical figure in music or in an actor, I always would say, not anymore, but I always would say, did you see them with your own eyes? And they would say, yeah, of course. But where I came from, I couldn't imagine that somebody would be. I mean, I shared a limo with Bob Hope, and we talked, and I would look over and see Bob Hope, and to me it was like I saw him with my own eyes, and there he was, Like, who do you remember, or what are some of the things that are so vivid in your memory that you're like, wow, I really got a chance to do all that?
So my grandpa on his bus, that's where I've seen the most famous people. And it's funny because all the kids and grandkids, whenever the famous people come on the bus, we tend to kind of meander toward the back because we feel like we're in the way.
Yeah.
But I remember Keith Richards getting up on the bus, and Vince Vaughn, Rob Thomas. I remember Kenny Chesney doing stuff with him. Oh, Cyndi Lauper. It goes on and on, but I didn't really hang out with them. Of course, he introduced me to them, but I would just go to the back and let them do their thing, and they would just gush on my grandpa,
Right. Yeah. I mean, your grandfather is. I mean, I interviewed him. I hosted Jimmy Kimmel, and he was a guest. And I think I met Annie on a plane and been around Willie, and then Owen and Luke, and and your grandfather and I interview. Woody Harrelson reached out through my publicist and said, tell George that it was great to see Willie laughing and being Willie. Like, it was an interview, but more of a conversation,
Yeah. I'm sure he enjoys that for sure. I remember meeting Woody Harrelson also, and him and I made a arranged marriage for our children to get married.
I like that. I like that. Is Elvis in your heart?
Well, yeah, I love Elvis, but I never got to, he was gone before I was around, but I love Elvis. Who doesn't like Elvis?
There's some people that do like Elvis. There's some people.
Yes.
I don't understand how anybody could not. I mean, if you think about a guy that came from no place and was a hillbilly, and even to this day, I mean, he died very, very young at 42, but is one name. He has to be the one name person all around the world.
I didn't appreciate him when I was younger. I not until I became an adult and I started appreciating him, and I turned out to be that I ended up loving him.
Yeah. I mean, country is that, and explain to everybody that's listening and watching how Nashville became what it's become.
Oh, wow. Well, Music City. So the first recording of music was done in Tennessee, but I think it was kind of more like the Bristol area. It was the Carter family, actually, which is who Johnny Cash married into, June Carter Cash. So the Carter family was the first to actually record music.
Wow.
And so then, they had the Grand Ole Opry here at the Ryman. And it was at the Ryman Auditorium, downtown Nashville, and the back entrance, which is the artist entrance, where there was an alley there that went to Tootsie's, which is the famous Orchid Lounge bar. It's the only purple building downtown Nashville. And downtown Nashville is only about 4 blocks, not very big at all. And it's super crowded these days all the time. But Tootsie's is where all the songwriters would go and hang out, and all the singers would go and hang out after and before they had to play the Ryman. So they would songwriters would pitch songs. That's where my grandpa pitched Crazy to Patsy Cline. Wow. And she went and recorded it that evening. That's kind of that's where it all started, the Ryman and the Grand Ole Opry, and actually just a radio show at the time.
Right.
And then now it's not even at the Ryman anymore, which is sad. But it makes sense because it needs to house more people. It's now over by the Opryland Hotel and over by the Willie Nelson Museum. And it's just huge now. It's just, the country acts of today are more poppy, in my opinion, but they try to keep it it's pretty close to country. I haven't been able to play it because I have a rock band,
Right.
and we do play acoustic, and in those cases we do sound more like a country band, but just haven't made my mark at the Grand Ole Opry yet. Hope to soon though.
Yeah, I like that you like rock.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I have to be different. George, I have to be different. My grandpa is who he is. I'm in Nashville where it's a machine now, Music
Right.
Row is a machine. They go with what's working. They want someone who's going to do exactly what's someone else has done. It's not about the artist or the person. It's more about the song and if it's going to go well. And they're just going to keep putting pop country on the country radio if that's what people want to hear. And it seems to be that's what people want to hear. But I play a ukulele. I try to do everything I can to be different. And like I said, I feel like the best thing that I can bring to the table is songwriting. And the catchy melody. That's pretty much the only thing I'm really good at. Everything else I just am kind of okay at, and figure it out, wing it.
Yeah, sure.
It took me, it took several people that I admired telling me that I had a good voice and that I should be singing for me to feel comfortable doing it. I was still doing it, but as a professional singer, it took a few people being like, no, really, you got to do this for me to be comfortable with it. Because, in Nashville, there's so many amazing vocalists. I can't compete with Trisha Yearwood even. She's an amazing vocalist.
Yeah.
Carrie Underwood. And, but, and I don't know how many songs they're actually writing. And if they're, if they're have a band that they're actually a band. I don't like these guys. We actually get together and practice where it's just us. We don't have management. We don't have a label. We're doing it a grassroots style. So they're like a family to me, and
I think
we're hitting the ground in a 15-passenger van.
Yeah.
We only listen to stand-up comedy because we don't agree on music, by the way. So we're just listening to podcasts and specials.
Yeah. But I think in like people who have, voices that, Janis Joplin didn't have the greatest voice, and people that just, it's what they're pushing out of them is what you gravitate to. If you're going to hear a singer per se be a singer, then you would almost go to the opera, because if you're going to get rock and roll, you're going to get somebody that's really just singing, but they're also telling you things, and I think that's where you land on the music that people like. It doesn't have to be. It's not perfect.
Yeah, you're right. And I think we should start changing radio stations to just get the genre of things out, because there's been too many. Like when my grandpa was playing music, he only had a few influences, right? At that time, like Django Reinhardt and Hank Williams, those were his influences, and that was it. So, but for us, we have so many more influences, right? We're listening to rock, pop, rap, country, reggae, like we're listening to everything. So to pinpoint an artist to one genre these days, you just have to start making up genres. So why not just cut out the country radio station, rock station, pop station, and just call it a public radio station, just the radio station, and let artists be artists.
If you were doing if everybody was doing music on their computer or their phone or their iPad, whatever, or their mix would be the perfect station for them. Like whatever you put on a playlist, I get what you're saying. That's what you should be able to listen to in the car, where you might get some, Carole King, and then Earth, Wind and Fire, and you get some, some Johnny Cash and Willie Nelson, and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, exactly.
I mean, I love music. I always have. Do you think that you'll ever get married again?
No.
No.
No, I don't.
How did I was married for 17 years. I didn't particularly find it very connected. I was a very kind of disconnected person. I think my wife knew that. at the time, but I don't think she understood that there's some darkness, when you marry somebody who's a comedian and whether they become successful or not. There's still a little bit of some issues there. And I don't think you can marry somebody that gets into this profession and just because maybe they're doing a show and it seems like it's a 9 to 5, that their personality is 9 to 5.
Yeah. And I got married really young. I got married because I didn't want my mom to be mad at me for living with my boyfriend out of wedlock, Yeah. So at 19, that really bothered me that I was disappointing her. And then at 26, it didn't bother me anymore. I was like, this isn't working. I would rather be at peace.
Yeah.
And I did want to play music and he didn't want that.
Oh.
And to be fair, he didn't sign up for that.
Right.
So, you just kind of, we're co-parenting pretty well. I love his wife. She's a great stepmom to my kids, and she's a good person and exactly what he wanted. He wanted a woman who would sit there and watch football and cook. And I just wasn't that girl. I wanted to go play music, you know?
Right. There's something, and travel and do all that. I would assume that it's probably difficult to meet somebody. I mean, you have kids and you're out there, right? I think it's not like.
And I have to be a mom.
Yeah.
I have to be a mom, and I also have to continue this career I've started, and I also started a podcast. So doing that along with the music, there's not a whole lot of time for somebody, and the time that I tried dating someone once since getting divorced, and I felt guilty in any situation I was in. I felt like I was being taken from the kids, and I felt guilty of that, or I felt guilty that he wanted me to hang out with him and I couldn't because I was with the kids. And he was a musician as well, so he was gone. I'd be home and free, but he was gone, or then it just didn't work out. And I realized I'm just waiting until my kids are grown. Who knows what the universe does? You can't plan you plan and God laughs, right? But I don't want to do any kind of serious relationship until my kids are grown, so I don't feel guilty as a mom, because I'm spending so much time recording and playing music that I'm going to feel better as a person and as a mom if I'm here with them when I'm not doing that.
Yeah. Yeah. I get that. Do you think that longevity is connected to a person's profession? You think that maybe because we travel that it's a little bit, the odds are a little bit higher than opposed to Gil's been married how many years?
51.
51 years that you went to work, you were a detective, and then you come back. Do you think that it has to do with? You think anything has to do with that?
I'm still laughing at the face she made when you told her 51.
Yeah, fucking 51 fucking years.
Happily married for 51 years?
I didn't say happily married. There's anybody who says marriage is easy has never been married. So there's them speed bumps in the road over 51 years. Believe me. And fortunately, she's the glue that's kept everything together, because it's not easy.
I think you can be a little bit. I think that there's damages that people go to therapy now. It's very easy. You can get an app. You can get quotes from different religions or quotes from different things. But
BetterHelp.
But also it's like sometimes. Unfortunately, when we're much younger, we kind of like are formed already, and it's not fair. I don't think in life that. Unbeknownst to you, what happens to you at 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 is almost going into this bank that is going to cause you issues when you're grown up. I think it's unfair. It's unfair.
Yeah, and you don't know at that age that all of that is going to affect you later on.
Or the things that
you're
people
just
say
surviving.
to you.
You're in survival mode.
Yeah, you're a child. You're trying to have fun, but also if you lose a parent, or if you lose a sibling, or if you lose, if somebody's mean to you, or they say things to you, or if you see things that you shouldn't see, they stay with you for your whole life, and that's a tough thing to live with. I think and I think music is for us a part of all of that. Part of all of that stuff that goes and makes you feel better. I mean, you can be alone and have music and not be alone.
Yeah, sometimes when I'm really sad, I will procrastinate turning music on because I know it'll change my mood immediately. And
Yeah.
I'm just like, no, I want to be mad and angry right now. I won't even pick up the guitar, or I won't turn music on because I want to be angry for a minute, because I know as soon as it's on, my mood will change. I think music and laughter is just as healing. I believe cannabis is as well, but I think music and comedy, laughter is just as healing as actual medicine is, because you have to stay uplifted, and we have to, or I have to stay uplifted. I have to choose to be happy, or I will just lay in bed and make myself sick,
Right.
and I don't want to die yet. So
I couldn't agree with you more.
it's just like you're choosing to die.
I can't agree with you more. Laughter and music, I refer to either one. And when I'm by myself, if I'm in the car, predominantly comedy on my car radio. Before it was always music, oldies, but now it's predominantly comedy, and that's what I need to get me through life is humor. And
too.
if I'm with somebody, I'll listen to music, because not everybody likes humor, but they all like music, but it's healing for me, and it's worked.
Yeah, and oldies is a good music to always turn to, because most people enjoy oldies tunes. Also, the Beach Boys are really good if you're feeling depressed, especially seasonal depression. The Beach Boys help lift the spirits for sure. And of course, my grandpa's music.
Absolutely.
Absolutely.
That one
Grandpa's
always
music.
makes me feel safe and nostalgic as a little kid, because it was just all that was played when I was growing up.
I mean, really, all of those guys, your grandfather included, were really almost like the Mount Rushmore of music. Where your grandfather crossed all lines. I mean, he did you couldn't get two guys more polar opposite than Enrique Iglesias or Julio Iglesias and your grandfather, and to do such a beautiful song.
To those I loved before.
To all the girls I've loved before.
Yeah, to all the girls I loved before. I loved that song.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. He wrote a song to all the girls. It's so funny.
To all of them.
There's so many of them that are like, hey, that one's about me. But it's
Yeah. What's the best time of the day for you?
for me, like I'm the happiest, or like I get most done.
No, when it's your time. Like do you get up early? Do you sleep late? Or
I do both, kind of. Like just depends on what's happening in the day. Of course, when we're playing music, it's late nights. You know how it is.
Yeah.
The show business is always late nights, but I do find that I get way more accomplished and more done if I go to sleep early and get up early.
Yes.
You can get a lot done between 5. You can get way more done between 5 and 8 than 9 and 1.
Right.
I don't know what it is, but it's just the truth. I can't make any sense of it, but it's true.
What would you say to people now? Because there's so much information at people's fingertips. If somebody like you said, melodies, or they felt like they could write, or they felt like these things in their mind just appeared. These kind of connection of words or musical connections. What would you say for somebody to do if they felt like they just had something hitting them or musically touching them, but they weren't a musician per se? Does that make sense?
Go for a drive. Go for a drive in the back roads, and then start thinking about it. In that case, you could use a voice memo to put down the information. There's something about this frontal lobe of the brain, and I don't even know if that's right because I'm not that smart, but you're doing something, and then the other part of your brain is open because you're doing something that's kind of routine. You don't need your full brain there, which sounds terrible because you're driving. Mm-hmm. Let's use a different analogy, although driving works for me. But like when you're in the shower and it's a routine, you kind of know what you're doing. Your brain will zone out. Those are the times when you should be thinking about those things and let those things pop in.
I was going to say the shower because, the shower is when things happen. Have your children shown any signs of musical ability?
My boys do. My boys are twins,
Yeah.
and they play piano, and they sing a little bit. I think if they really worked at it, they would be able to do it. But they love playing piano, and they love the band AJR. That's their favorite band. My daughter is more of, she wants to be a comedian. She has an Instagram called Vivian the Comedian. She wants to make jokes and make people laugh, but she's so shy when it comes to talking to people she doesn't know that I don't know if that'll ever come to pass, but she does write the silliest jokes, and she has this want to make people laugh, But
I think
I started her first 1 minute with her.
Yeah,
and it's not too bad. It's not too bad, I gotta say.
I think that's part of it. I mean, I couldn't speak. I couldn't talk to anybody. Nobody actually showed me how to introduce myself to anybody. But I was very shy. Open around my friends, but extremely introverted and quiet. And I used to go to the Comedy Store when I was 18 years old, and I never imagined that. Why would you go someplace to be bad for years and still keep going? If I had to look back at my early life, I was still in high school, and I thought, why would I keep going back to a place or places that I was bad at and continue to go back? I don't know the answer to that one. But
yeah, just a glutton for punishment.
But it does, it does something to you. So good on your daughter. I mean, more people now are finding comedy through Instagram or TikTok. Mm-hmm. My daughter Mayan and I are doing a show. We sold the show to NBC, and the woman that created this idea saw Mayan's TikToks and said, "Oh shit, Mayan Lopez and George Lopez's daughter." And doing TikToks, and now we're doing a show at NBC, and TikToks are part of the show.
I love that.
That's going to be great.
Yeah, they were at the taping. You guys were at the taping up.
Yeah.
Yes, sir.
I saw.
Is it going to be
genius?
First thing I said, he's got another winner, and it was a good show.
Isn't that yet, right? There isn't a show with TikTok in it yet.
No, and it works. And I'm fortunate to have the creator of my first show, Bruce Elford, be one of my partners in this show. So I mean, to be able to go around twice is good.
It must mean you're really talented and smart and good at what you're doing.
It's minimally stated.
Yes.
Have you thought of acting? Do you see yourself as an actor?
Yeah, I could totally act. I've done, little things for music videos and that sort of thing.
Yeah,
I could do it. It's just not a big passion of mine.
Right.
But I've done comedy skits, and we just did a music video for Ari Shaffir because I don't know if you know Ari Shaffir from New York. He has a podcast he does, and we did the theme song for it.
Oh.
And so we filmed a little music video, and I got to act a little in that. That's the most recent thing, but I haven't been in movies. Right. But I tell you what, though, TV's the way to go, right? Because then you get a large audience and get a lot of exposure.
I think it is the way to go. I remember Sam Jackson told me when you're a movie star, people see you on this big screen, and when they see you in person, they back up. They're like, "Oh, that's so and so." And then when you're on TV, you're on a smaller screen, and when they see you, they go up to you. They don't. Yeah. 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 Do people always tell you, "Oh, you're a lot shorter than I thought you were"? You know what? Yeah, they do.
My grandpa gets that a lot. You're shorter than I thought you'd be.
But I think he was taller back in the day. I think we all, unfortunately, you see somebody, and then fucking where's the other half of you? Oh man. I think your spine compresses, and you're like, what the fuck happened?
The weight of the world.
Yeah, but I love, I was at a Grammy party, and they introduced the guy who wrote "That's Life." That's life. And he stood up and he waved, and in the break I went over and I said, "Did you write That's Life?" And he said, "I did." And I shook his hand. I said, "I just want to shake your hand. I think it's a beautiful song." And I mean, to be with a guy who's an older guy that wrote "That's Life" is it's amazing to write a song like that, right? Like that came from that comes from you, that comes from them, something that you will listen to forever.
Was the writer also from New York?
Nashville, when I was working at a bar a few years ago, and they had a songwriter night, and every single person that came in to sing a song that they wrote, it was a huge hit. But you just didn't know that it was this guy that wrote it.
Right. And
it was just some regular person. Mm-hmm. And I was blown away. It was every Tuesday night in Nashville. And I mean, I can't even think of the hits now. I mean, just huge hits. But you know, the person who made them big wasn't singing it. It was the person who wrote it.
Right.
And I just remember thinking that was really cool, and how cool they were, and just regular people. You know, they weren't just very Nashville, I guess. You know, just the songwriters that live life and just go to Kroger like everyone else, and they're not living in the big fancy places. But you always that shocked me when I was a kid. I thought everyone who sang the song wrote it, right?
Yeah.
I thought that was how it worked, and then obviously that's not how it works at all. I found out my grandpa didn't write Poncho and Lefty 2 weeks ago. I thought he wrote Poncho and Lefty. It's Townes Van Zandt. I found that out 2 weeks ago.
Oh yeah, Townes Van Zandt. Wow. Yeah, I mean, it's all really. I hope that, you know, because, you know, kids are so into like things that are quick, you know, on their phones and all that, that at some point that I think it's different, because music is different now. It means different things to people, that they appreciate that music, because I think don't more artists come, like there's more genres now, you know, rap and different types of things, but that kids would look at it as the art that it is, and not just the song that it is. Yeah.
I've come up with little bitty 30-second TikTok songs that I think would do well, go viral, whatever, do well on the TikTok. So I actually thought of recording it, you know, recording this song, looping it to where it's like a full song, right? Mm-hmm. Putting it up somewhere just for an experiment, right? Just put it up on Spotify, and then as a different person, I'm not even going to say the name just in case I do this, then use the song on TikTok and try to get it to go, but not as Raelyn, or Raelyn would do it, but the song wouldn't be Raelyn's song. It would be another pseudonym, whatever.
Right.
And just to see, because I've just watching the TikToks, you can kind of see what they're into. And literally it's only 30 seconds to a minute. You don't need a whole lot for them to be into it. And then I've just seen a lot of bands blow up from it, or artists. And I've actually thought of spending time of recording these 30-second ideas, looping it, and then trying to do it on TikTok, just to think outside the box and try another thing to get some sort of exposure.
I think you should. I think you should.
Yeah, I think that could definitely work.
I don't follow you on TikTok, but I think I will now.
He's about to. Yeah, I've heard people who like listen to TikTok and that big song in Encanto. We don't talk about Bruno, won all sorts of awards or whatever. And I watched that with a friend, and she was like, "Oh wait, I recognize this part of the song. I recognize this part of the song. I recognize this part of the song." But she had no idea it all came from the same song. So it's crazy the sort of like snippets that people can sort of latch onto when it's, you know, in like a 15-second clip that goes viral. Yep. I think there's a ton of potential in that.
And you have to put it somewhere so that people can go find it. Right? Because if it's just on TikTok, I don't think it's going to do very well. It has to be on YouTube or Spotify or something for them to be able to go and listen.
Is that her? What is your TikTok handle? What is it handle?
Oh, you want?
Yeah, what is it? We'll follow you right now.
Shit.
What is shit?
Connection went out.
Oh, it did. Oh. When are you on the road now? Are you doing shows?
I'm home right now. We have a show in Nashville next week at the 5 Spot, and on Wednesday night, and then Saturday we play in Owensboro, Kentucky. Which isn't fun.
No, I mean, come on.
And then we have a couple shows in October, one in November. Just doing these one-offs right now. It's kind of been like that since the pandemic. Since we've gotten out, it's not a whole lot of a big run. It's just little one-offs.
Oh, we did it? Okay.
We have just followed you on TikTok.
Oh, y'all are the best. I'll follow you back.
I want to see.
If I'm not already.
I think you. I think those work. I mean, you're such a good writer. I think you have to do that, right? Don't you feel?
Okay. I will. I'm gonna do it. George Lopez told me to do it. I'm doing it.
There you go. You heard it here first.
Yeah. All right. Well, I love music. That's it. I mean, I always loved, have you seen? Like, I saw Kid. Have you seen Kid? What was your first concerts that you went to?
Were you gonna say Kiss?
I saw Kiss, yeah, a lot. I'm still friends with those guys. Like, I know they're wrapping it up, and they're 70-year-old guys in a demon outfit and a star over his eye. But to me, it's I think it's all. I mean, I think really, as you get older, man, it's like when those dudes hang it up, they're gonna hang something up that's been around my whole life.
Yeah, but they won't have to. They'll just get guys to come in and paint their face that look like them. And it'll continue on forever and ever.
I think they were saying that they were planning on trying to do that. That they could.
They are.
They are, right? So they could get
That's
four
crazy.
other guys.
Kiss the franchise.
Yeah. I was my first concert I went to in 1976, and then little did I know that a few years ago, before the pandemic, I was flying back from Columbus, Ohio, with them on their plane, sitting across from Paul Stanley, and I said, "Is this it? Is this it?" And he's like, "Yeah, I think it is. I've been hurt so much," and he started going through. He goes, I tore my bicep off my muscle off, and my hip had replaced, and my feet and my back is a problem. And you're like watching this guy from the first concert to now saying, I think it is kind of a wrap for us, that all of the injuries that he sustained, but also, I mean, has toured the world in this kind of outfit that has become known around the world. And I mean, there is something to a musician, like you're a musician, that there is a respect for the hierarchy, I would say.
Yes. I took my kids to the Kiss concert here in Nashville in 2019 or 2018, I think it was.
Yeah.
And they loved it. And they were, at the time, they were probably 11 and 9, I mean, they were pretty young.
Yeah.
And they loved it.
Yeah.
And yeah, they were still doing it. But yeah, I've talked to Gene. I have a connection with him in Nashville, and he told me, he was like, yeah, we're just going to get guys to jump in. Literally 100 years from now, Kiss could still be happening.
That'd be amazing.
They still have.
Yeah.
I'm amazed right now, because I'm thinking about going. The Temptations, all the originals gone now. And they've still got concerts going on. Nothing as big as Kiss, but what you're talking about, they still continue doing.
I didn't know that. That's neat.
You think they could have a white Temptation? No. It couldn't be like a Jackie Robinson of Temptations, like a white dude that would break the color barrier.
No.
And be like, what the fuck is it? What's a Temptation up there? What's that? Right? It would have to be a very special type of singer. But even actors like the guy from Starsky and Hutch, David Soul, had a song, or John Travolta sang back in the 70s. Like they would try to get a TV star to go out and sing and kind of tour. David Cassidy, of course, the huge, but also some other guys.
Ricky Nelson.
Ricky Nelson.
Oh yeah, my cousin. He's not really my cousin.
Yeah. No. But did you get into Leonard Skinner? I did. I didn't think of them as. I still like them. I didn't think of the Confederate flag as anything back then as anything. I think sometimes we're looking for shit to. I mean, you could look at everything and find something wrong with everything, because everything can't be good.
If you're looking for negative, you'll find it.
But I loved the fact that those guys used to write back there in some hot house, and they would sit in the hot house, and then Ronnie Van Zant would go fishing on the lake, and come back with lyrics. I got them, you know, and I mean, however it works, it's beautiful that it's even attempted, because you know how difficult it is to write, but also to have something come from you and just fill the space with make people, you know, feel things that they, like you said, that they were sad and up and happy, because I think that's a little bit of that's life.
Yeah, and his fishing was my driving on the back roads.
Mm-hmm.
You know, he had to go do something to get his brain working and let that flow in.
You know, I think, you know, Raelyn has something very, very astute that people don't do. On Sundays back in the 70s, maybe you guys did it, where your family would say, "We're going for a ride," and on Sunday you went for a ride, like around town, like you went to wherever, like downtown. Maybe you went downtown and ate something and then came back, but you just got in the car and went for a ride. Nobody does that anymore.
Nobody does that anymore.
Gas prices.
We didn't do that. I had six sisters.
Sometimes.
I had six
Or
sisters.
I go the long way home.
Yeah, you go a different way home. Well, I hope that when you come to Los Angeles, that we're able to go see you, like that. We know that you're going to be here, and I think it would be great to be able to see you.
Yes, thank you. I will. I don't know when I'll be able to get out to LA, but when I am, I'll make sure you guys know, and you'll, of course, have your name on the list.
Yeah.
I hope.
Well, you know, I admire you because I know, you know, to have music in your family is one thing, but also to have children and to want to be a mother, but then consider yourself an artist is much more honorable than your musical ability to be a good mom.
Thank you.
Yeah.
And I'm teaching them to follow their dreams too.
You
know?
Yeah, and that is to follow their dreams is absolutely essential for any child, and it just became essential for children. Not when I shut up. My grandma would be like, "Shut the fuck." I said, "I want to be a comedian. I'm funnier than you. Get the fuck out of here." Son of a- So fast. I didn't know how could somebody be mean so fast? Go, hey, George. What? You never wanted to be thin? That's
Oh, brutal. She had some roast chops.
You never, George, let me ask you that. You won't get mad. I don't know. How do you know I'm not going to get mad? So you never wanted to try to be something?
Look at me now.
No, Grandma, I didn't. And then they fucking died. They fucking died before you are something. Son of a bitch. If you're going to talk shit, you got to at least hang around long enough to see what happens.
Yeah.
That is amazing
I'm praying
advice.
for that too.
If you're going to talk shit, you got to be around long enough to see what happens.
Well, God bless you, and thank you for being with us today.
Same. God bless you guys.
Yeah.
Thank you so much.
It was a real pleasure. Thank you.
We didn't even introduce her. Will you outtroduce her?
Oh, yeah. Who joined us today on the podcast
Amazing.
was singer, songwriter, founder of the Raelyn Nelson Band, Raelyn Nelson.
Oh, nice. Thank you guys.
Thank you.
Thanks for helping me get the word out. I really appreciate
We're getting it out.
Absolutely. We'll talk to you.
Bye.
Bye.
All right.